Russia has the wrong strategy. They continue to hit targets that are not ISIL. We believe this is a fundamental mistake. Despite what the Russians say, we have not agreed to cooperate with Russia so long as they continue to pursue a mistaken strategy and hit these targets.
Secretary of Defense Ashton Carter calling Russia's strategy in Syria flawed as things continue to heat up in Syria. Now the Syrian military is preparing to launch a wide-scale offensive, now undertaking that offensive on the ground to defeat terrorist rebels. But reports find that in the air, 90% of the Russian airstrikes are hitting rebels affiliated with the U.S. who are opposed to the Assad regime and not going after ISIS. So the Russians aren't going after ISIS, they're going after the rebels. And according to the BBC earlier today, 2 Russian missiles fired from the Caspian Sea landed and exploded in Iran. We need to talk about this with an expert. We have one such expert via Skype now from Belmont, New Jersey. He's Ryan Mauro, national security analyst for the Clarion Project, a nonprofit organization educating the public about the threat of Islamic extremism. Ryan, it's great to have you here on Newsmax Prime. I want to get to this thing about the Russian missiles exploding in Iran. Is this, we've heard that the Russians may have a lot of brute force, but not a lot of strategic abilities. Is this evidence of the same?
Yes, I've talked to people in the intelligence community who say that based on what they're seeing, it looks like the Russian military just isn't that skilled. They have advanced technology, and they're very aggressive, but maybe the training's not up to par. They don't have the experience. So this type of thing isn't surprising me. And it also means, unfortunately for civilians on the ground, that there's going to be a lot of casualties.
And meantime, on Capitol Hill, Congress has the constitutional authority to engage in oversight, and now there's talk of a probe into just what went on with our intelligence agencies. We know Russia was aggressive, but with Russia moving ahead in Syria, was our intelligence apparatus just caught flat-footed?
It sure seems to be the case. I don't know of anyone out there that said that they saw this coming except for Senator Marco Rubio, but even before him saying that this was coming, you saw all the signs. We know that Russia treats the Assad dictatorship like a proxy, that they treasure that military base, the naval base that they have on the Mediterranean, and they want them to stay in power, and their forces were being built up. So it didn't take a lot of dot connecting to figure out that something like this would happen.
So basically, does Vladimir Putin have Barack Obama's number? Does he know that President Obama will do nothing to confront Russia in any way, shape, fashion, or form?
Well, is that kind of the message behind all of this? Aside from preserving a proxy and preserving the military bases, that's also what Russia wants to do. You'll notice that Egypt endorsed the Russian airstrikes because Egypt is moving away from the U.S. and towards Russia. Other countries in the region, such as the leader of Bahrain, have called our foreign policy schizophrenic and openly said that they don't like Russia, but they would rather work with someone that's reliable, even if they don't like them, than someone like the U.S., who they may like, but is unreliable. And so you're seeing a strategic shift happening right now. And
with that in mind, what happens to NATO? Does it just basically disintegrate or become a paper tiger? We've got about a minute.
Yes, if Russia engages in an offensive in the Baltic states, if there's a Russian minority there, that they start building up a proxy and they say that we want to separate from the Baltic states, and NATO doesn't do anything, then yes, and that's one of the goals here.
Well, it's, I got to tell you, it is not a pretty picture. Is there anything that can go right for the U.S.? So let me phrase it this way in 30 seconds that remain. What should we be doing to improve the situation for us internationally, especially with reference to Syria?
The bottom line is that we have to restore American credibility so the Russians know that we have cards to play. And we also have to accept the fact that the Assad regime isn't going anywhere. And there's going to have to be some type of deal with Russia that looks like Germany after World War II. That's just how it is. You're going to have to work with Russia on this.
All right, fair enough. Ryan Mauro, Skyping in from Belmont, New Jersey, to talk about the Middle East. We thank you very much. If you got comments, send them to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Betsy McCoy and Ed Klein are next about Hillary. Stay with us.